Hey everybody, how's it going?
Doing well.
Good to see everybody. Is everybody ready for Thanksgiving tomorrow? Yeah,
Most definitely.
ready to stuff your faces with some turkey. Or maybe not turkey, because I know not everybody likes that, so.
I'm gonna have grass-based turkey.
Okay,
Just kidding.
oh. I'm like, I don't know. It could be, no judgments. Some people are having steak for Thanksgiving. I'm like, why didn't we have that as a tradition? So, anyways, so thank you all for jumping on today. I know it's the day before Thanksgiving, so I'm sure you're all ready to relax the family and take some family time. Sorry, I'm a bit congested still. Give me just 1 second.
Gotta eat some garlic. Anybody else eat garlic when they're sick?
No.
I've heard people do it. I haven't personally done that.
When I cook like pan steak, sometimes I'll put garlic on the pan. That counts.
Better than nothing.
Alrighty, so I'm going to share my screen. I have a little bit of a presentation I put together. So I put together some slides. It's only like 5 slides, but I think you all could probably appreciate slides. I promise it won't be as boring as probably some of your work presentations are. So let me just go ahead and get that set up real quick.
As long as you don't call me an extremist, I'm good with it.
All right, can everybody see the screen? Give thumbs up if it's good. All right, good. So I wanted to chat a little bit today. Somebody had filled out a topics request on what my experience was with getting my real estate business started. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit on that today. So about 85 to 90% of realtors fail in the first 5 years. And I think it's about, I couldn't find the statistic on a quick search, but I think it's roughly about 70 something fail out on their second year. And I don't put this in here to scare you. I put this in here mostly to motivate you. 9 out of 10 realtors fail in their business in the first 2 years. If your production is anything like, well, actually, first I'll say part of the reason why I'm offering the skill bridge is so that way we could possibly get those statistics lower. So, having a higher percentage of people who are, making it in real estate instead of failing. So I'm hoping that, somehow, some way we can at least help, a small percentage of people succeed in the real estate business. And that's why we put this skill bridge internship in place to try to help those who are looking to get into real estate from their military careers. So we're hoping we can get rid of the statistic here, completely in the industry, of course, but not us ourselves. But I just feel like it is a hard career. And so it can be easy to fall into this category in this percentage. So let's see. Oh, I'm actually not ready for that yet. So whenever I first got to California, so I moved here from New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so whenever I moved here, I didn't really know anybody whenever I moved here with David. And, you know, for those of you who know David, he is active duty Air Force. So we were in Albuquerque before this, and we were stationed there for about 5 years, moved here back in 2013. And so when I first moved here, I actually wasn't in real estate. I actually, my background is in nursing. So I went to nursing school in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And when I got here, I would say that career is definitely hard to get into because the exam that I took super hard, the NCLEX. Not sure if we have anybody on this call who has a prior history in nursing or not. But it's a hard career field to get into as well for, different reasons. When I moved here, I took the exam twice, didn't pass it either time, kind of did a whole reevaluation if I still wanted to do nursing or not. I knew I would eventually, pass the exam. I'm a horrible test taker. So that exam did not do well for me. It's about a 275, it can go up to 275 questions. So it's an adaptive test. And so it's a lot of critical thinking, and basically it will give you harder questions or easier questions depending on how you're doing in it. So really tough exam. So whenever it took me a while to kind of reevaluate what I wanted to do. And so getting into real estate was honestly, it wasn't my next step. I did not want, David had brought it up to me like, hey, get into real estate. And I was like, no, I don't want to get into it. I'm not a salesperson. I'm actually introverted. So I don't want to be talking to people all day long. So, it wasn't my first inclination to get into real estate at all. But, I would say that whenever I did become open to it, people were telling me like, okay, well, you have to study these 3 books and then, take your exam. I was super relieved by that because coming from nursing where you have to know all of these things, you do not have only 3 books, you have a ton of books, and you have to know a good majority of what's in those books too. And so whenever somebody was like, hey, this is, I think it's probably David, like, hey, you got 3 books that you have to study. I'm just like, oh, phew, thank God, it's only a couple hundred pages long. So that was my experience. I know it's not everybody's experience whenever they're getting into real estate. I know a lot of the material can feel a lot, dry. So, it can be a little bit harder to get through for some people. I don't know what happened to me, but I think I was just so, relieved that I didn't have a million books to study, that, not that it was super exciting, but I was just so interested in it because it was so different than nursing. So David and I took ADHI schools, and we both took, I took the crash course. I forget if David took the crash course or not, but I took the crash course and I passed the first time. I was super nervous about it because, it's still a hard exam. And so I just didn't know where it was going to go. And I had already passed failed my past 2 nursing exams. So I was just like, if I fail again, I just don't know where I'm going to be like emotionally or mentally after that. So I was very happy to see that I passed. But it's not an easy industry. When I first got into it, I'm going to say that I was pretty naive to what I was getting into. I didn't know all that I was getting into. It's going to sound pretty naive, but I didn't know that you have to get your own leads. And I didn't even know, I honestly thought I was just going to be showing a bunch of pretty houses all day long, and did not realize the amount of scope of paperwork that's also involved, and a lot of computer work that's actually involved too, because you're not only searching for houses, You're also submitting offers and responding to emails. And so there's a lot of, computer work, paperwork that goes into it, but there's still an active side to real estate as well. But you have to essentially get your own leads, and you have to be a self-motivator. So you have to, get those leads on your own. I did not know that. I thought maybe your brokerage would give it to you. No, your brokerage usually doesn't have a plan set up to give agents leads. Some brokerages might, if you join a team, they might have a system where they're giving you, leads. But ultimately, if you're an individual agent, you usually don't have any leads that are coming to you. So you have to be the one that goes out and gets those leads and make your business successful. So, 99.9% of the time, that's going to be the case. The 1%, the 0.01% that has the leads given to them, they don't know how lucky they are if that's the case. I just know that never happened to me, and I just didn't know that prior to getting in. And so that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this training. Just so you guys know, you have to be out there. You have to be generating your own leads. Nobody's going to give the leads to you. This isn't going to be a lead generation call per se. I will touch on it a little bit. I can always do more lead focused in the future, but just want to touch on a little bit about how I was able to get my first 3 deals under my belt. And I feel like after you get those first 3 deals, not that you're going to know everything or anything like that. It's just after you get your first 3 deals, you're just like, oh, phew, I got that done. And a lot of brokerages will have you where you have to do your first 3 deals before you will be able to get out from underneath the mentor program. And not that that's necessarily a good thing, but you do get a certain percentage higher once you're out of that program. So I really wanted to be out of having to give my mentor a cut of, my 3 deals. So, so the ways I created leads in my first year, this wasn't the easiest thing to do. And I would say, so whenever I got my real estate license, it was like back in October, 6 years ago. And I got at the very, very end of October 26th. And so I didn't really know what it took to get my real estate career started. So I was just focusing on the things that wasn't getting me business. So I was focusing on getting my website set up, getting, all these things set up that weren't necessarily going to bring me leads at that time. And so I didn't really know, what it took to get my real estate business off the ground. And when I finally realized, well, I need to actually be doing stuff, one of the things I was open to was doing open houses. Open houses is a lot better to me than thinking about cold calling a bunch of people, especially since I'm an introvert. And I just don't like cold calling people. And I don't think anybody likes cold calling people. And even if you're not an introvert and you're an extrovert, cold calling can be hard. So that's that. I knew that I did not want to do that. And I did not want to go door knocking. Not saying that those are bad things. If those things that work for you, then, that's great, because cold calling, there's some costs associated with it, but door knocking completely free. Open houses are free. All you have to do is, call up agents in your area, ideally ones that don't have teams. If the people, don't call the agents that have teams because they're like, I'm just going to give it to my team agents. Call the ones that do not have people on their team or don't have teams, and especially out of area agents. So if you're focused in your city and you notice like they're 2 or 3 cities away, then they're probably needing somebody. They probably don't want to drive all the way there to do an open house. So call those out of area agents and give them a call. Like, hey, can I do an open house for you? Sorry, congested still. So that's how I got my first 2 sales was off of open houses. And I was lucky enough that I had, so one of them my mentor gave to me because she couldn't do it. And it was a really hot house. There were 80 to 100 people that came through that open house. and I ended up generating at least one person off of it. And I probably could have generated more had I have, follow-up systems in place. But so I had that, and then I had another agent in my office who she had given me 2+ open houses to do, just because she didn't want to do them, or she wasn't available to do them. So, really connecting with agents in your local area, trying to, just talk them, create some sort of relationship with them, go to coffee with them, chat with them, tell them how beautiful their listing is, how they did a really good job. You would love to hold an open house. And that could be a really good source of leads for you, especially when you're first starting off. And I know Zor, he's done some already, so he could probably talk to that when we do our lead gen. I'm volunteering him, but if he's open to it, then I'll let him do the lead gen one if he's open to it. But so another way that I got leads is by sphere of influence. So David, still active duty. Of course, he's not trying to lead gen at work whenever he was going into the office, but of course, you're going to talk to somebody like, hey, I'm moving to the area. Your wife is a realtor, and hey, so he connected me with them. They were rental clients at first. So they at first was looking at rentals, and I was happy to go and show them rentals. Of course, first getting started, I just wanted anything that anybody would give me. Like if they wanted a rental, I would go and show them like a million rentals if that's what they wanted to do. So luckily they had turned into a buyer, and we're like, because we were talking to them like, hey, are you open to buying as well? So they were open to that, and they're actually one of our really good friends now. But so don't be afraid of helping people out rental wise. In your market, you may or may not get paid for that. I know here in California, we do get paid if it's in an MLS. For the most part, we do get paid. And I say that because sometimes property managers will put it into the MLS and will offer like $1 compensation. So that's not great. But even if it's just offering to rental leads a source of like setting them up on a search or something like that, then that's offering value. Giving them like, hey, make sure that because you're military, you don't have to pay a second month's deposit. Knowing those sort of things are really going to help people out. And of course, I focus on military leads because I like to mainly help military, and they were military. And I only help military renters. I don't help anybody else, but that doesn't mean that you should be closed off to it. It's just my business plan. I only like to help military because generally they have they have good credit, and they have stable income. I know they're going to pay their bills. And of course, there's that stress with, them moving from one spot to another and then only having 10 days to find a home. So, yeah, don't be afraid of helping them. And of course, you can focus on your sphere of influence. And we've had a good amount of people come through, our sphere of influence. So another way that I got my first listing was through social media. And so how I did that is I live in a 610 home community, and we have a Facebook page for our community. So I would urge you that if any of you are in anything like that, even if it is base housing and that's where you are right now, utilize that as much as you can, of course, going by the group rules and all of that. But my community, I had posted in there about, me being a realtor, I can't even remember exactly what it was about, but there was something along the lines of me being a realtor and me being able to help with, buying and selling. And so I had somebody that called me, they had a house that they needed to sell, and they called me off of that post, and that was my first listing, and it was over $1 million, and I was super happy. So, and that was a free source. So I got all of my first 3 deals through free lead sources. Like I didn't have to pay for any of these. So, it's definitely doable for free sources of leads. But this is how I got my first 3 deals done, and I didn't even have to pay for anything, because when you're first starting out, you don't really have a budget at all because you haven't made any money yet. So this is how I made my first 3 sales. And then going to like having a follow-up plan for the people that are coming through your open house or anywhere else for that matter. If I would have had a better follow-up plan, whenever I first started out, it probably could have converted way more of my leads at my open house. Really putting them into it's called a CRM, client relationship manager. They'll go into that database and then know how many times you're going to follow up with them, when you're going to follow up with them. Like I said, we will cover more of this in the future, but for now, I'm just touching on it. But knowing, like, so for me, I would only call them once or text them once because I felt like I was bothering them. Truth is that they don't remember you. Like, how much do you remember if somebody spam called you? Do you remember their name or their number or anything like that? Probably not. So don't think that you're bothering them unless, of course, they say no. Once they say no, that's fine. Okay, they responded. A no is a response. It's better than a ghosting and nobody's talking to you. So if somebody says, hey, take me off of your list, I'm just like, yes, that got a response. And so that's one more step to a yes. And it's a no, not right now. Just keep them in your database after that. So just really knowing, like, don't just follow up with them once like I did when I first started out. That's not going to get you leads. You're not going to convert anybody. I know it by experience. So, all right. So I'm going to take a tiny little break. If anybody has any questions.
Yes.
before I go on. Okay, go ahead.
You said you got your license in October 2015. From that time, doing your 3 techniques, how long did it take you to sell that first home?
So my the first sale that I had, not the buyer client, right? Because my first
Well, I guess how long did it take you to get an income, like to get money?
oh boy, that's a whole conversation.
6 months,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
David's
months.
counting it. 8 months.
8 months,
I'm sorry.
and that's expected.
It is if you did it like I did it.
Okay.
If you did it like I did it, only made 16K after splits and fees and stuff my first year.
I'll chime in here real quick.
Okay.
We started, again, we've talked about the brokerage some. I don't know that we talk about it enough for what it's helped enable for us, but we started at Keller Williams, nothing against KW, just our personal experience. We started at
Right.
Keller Williams at a local office with 450 agents. Thought it was going to be a great move for us. They're touted as a great training company. What Tasha found was that their training was repetitive. The same questions were asked week to week because they constantly had a new flow of new agents. They never progressed to the actual stuff that she needed. Trying to get on the broker's calendar was 2+ weeks out. By the time you get on their calendar, ask your client's question to get it answered, you've lost your client, and she wasn't able to grow like she wanted to as an agent. So under that, like her mentor that she was paired with had been in the business less than a year. So not a great mentor to get paired up with to show you how to be a top producing agent when they're trying to figure out everything on their own.
Right.
We did not have people invested in our success. There's no financial alignment at KW. So you're all competitors in a 450 person office.
In it for your, like, on your own.
Yeah, in a 450 person office of agents, you have 449 people you're competing with for the same clients in your own office, right? The way that we have found EXP in our 3 years is that they don't just say collaboration, they're truly about collaboration. And so when we have questions, hey, I got a listing presentation, I got a question on this, or how would you address this question from a seller or a buyer? How would you overcome this objection, whatever? We have thousands of agents that if we wanted to, we can reach out and touch and ask those questions and get them answered. And they're more than willing to answer them, even if they're in our own market. The reason for it is we're all stock owners. As we sell more homes, the revenue goes up. As the revenue goes up over time, the stock price goes up. So like the stock recently has probably dropped about 35% over the last 3.5 months. but year over year, we're up over, I think, 90% on the stock value. So the benefit is it's that glue where we all benefit by the stock price going up, and therefore everyone in the company is financially incentivized to help everyone else. And that's, for us at least, what we've seen, what's allowed us to now almost 7x our business in 3 years, to go from doing $6 million worth to we'll be at over 40 million this year.
Amazing.
Trying to
So,
show you,
and,
but
and we're a little,
there you are.
we are, in my mind, when I look at some of the groups that we're a part of, like there's one group we're a part of now, the Fast Forward Generals, because of our production level, but we're like lowest level of the totem pole within that group, where we have teams that are being run that are doing 500 million all the way up to close to $1 billion worth of business. And we get to mastermind with them twice a week, right? Or more if we reach out separately, but like 2 calls scheduled every single week to be on mastermind and help us all grow our business. And that's the type of collaboration we've seen at the company. So then we pass that down to folks that we're bringing in to help them grow their business.
So you guys would be our team if we choose to partner with you,
Basically,
Right.
where you're
or what, however it's called.
Yeah, it wouldn't be
Yeah.
a team, but it
Yeah.
would be, it would depend on how you decide
Right.
to partner with
there are
us.
distinctions between team with NEXP
And
just
I actually
partner
was
agent with
planning on
NEXP.
talking a little
Okay.
bit on this at the end of the call.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I mean, I would say that David said.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, you're welcome.
David said 8 months, but something I want to point out is that, like I said, whenever I first started, I wasn't really doing much. I really wasn't generating leads. I didn't really know how to do that. And so it's really, whenever I look at it, took me 5 months to finally get a commission. So I got a
Okay.
commission in June of 2016. I got licensed in October of 15. So it took me a while. And then, of course, with the time it takes to secure a lead. And something to also point out is I would have gotten paid about 2 months earlier than that, because of how this is a whole different story. Maybe I can talk to you guys about it one time. But my first deal took about 3 months to close.
Okay.
And it doesn't normally take that long.
Okay.
It takes a month to usually close escrow. It took 3 months. And so
Yeah.
I'll talk to you about that at a whole different time, because that's a whole different story. So maybe
Okay.
a call.
Well, that just gives me a basis of, helps me give myself a better timeline on finances and backup plans for money, because stuff isn't free.
Yeah, and I'll touch on it a little bit at the end of this call, on how we could try and get you implemented faster than that.
Okay.
Because typically once you're implemented, I don't want to focus on leads, but typically you're about 3 to 6 months out from your first commission. So you want to have that money saved up, so that way when you get out, you have something to fall back on, or you start out at a part-time job while you're building your business.
Okay.
Or even a full-time job, depending on what your situation is and if you have anybody to support you. Some people won't have anybody to support them, so you have to work a full-time job while they're building the real estate business. So, of course, that's not what we want, right? We're trying to get you guys implemented and to where you have that source and you are making the income.
Yeah, and I'll say this too for those that are coming on when you graduate, after we partner with you, if you do want to join a team and our team doesn't serve that
Okay,
area.
we could go ahead and talk about that
Just
now, because
real
that's
quick.
what I was going to talk about at the end.
Okay, yeah, I was just going to mention, like, Jordan can talk to it as well at the end, but like we can match you up with a good producing team that's going to help you build your business quicker, right? And so that's part of what we did with
Yeah,
Jordan.
so we have a network of agents inside and outside of our brokerage. So we have a network of agents who we can get you implemented with. And so if you're deciding you want to partner with us, we have a lot of top producing teams that are looking for agents, and it doesn't matter if you're new, they're looking for agents to join their team. And we know
Okay.
plenty of people who need help like right now to get implemented. And so it, like, once you're licensed, and even when you're not licensed, there's a possibility to get you implemented into their team. That would probably take more of a one-on-one call with us.
Yeah, that's-
But you know, we are happy to jump on a call for anybody that wants that like figured out for them. So, you know, that can definitely be a conversation even before you graduate. With like Zor, we got him implemented with a phenomenal team in Hawaii, and he's just killing it. He's doing open houses, he's working with buyers, like he's doing really good. So, you know, if that's something that you're interested in, you know, let us know, because we can try to see, you know, who works those areas that you're in to get you paired up with them.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to do that.
Okay, awesome. Okay, yeah, see, that's what this one was for. So partnering with us for the best support, and then continuing the your access for training after you graduate. But yeah, that's pretty much what we just talked about. But I want to kind of go back a little bit, because that was that, you know, we jumped ahead a little bit. So like I already said, no one will give you the leads, you have to find your own. And then basically in this industry, you do have to work 7 days a week. Sorry, Janet, Janetta, I'm gonna mute you for a second. Having a, I don't know who that is. So I remember going through, I think it was the crash course that I was going through, and somebody was like, hey, I heard you have to work 7 days a week. They're asking the instructor, and they're like, hey, I heard you have to work 7 days a week in real estate. And I was just like, I don't want to work 7 days a week. But the truth is that in this industry, you do have to work 7 days a week, especially when you're first starting out. You're working 10 to 12-hour days. You're really having to work, you know, technically after hours, whatever that would mean in real estate. I don't even know. So when everybody else is happy about Fridays, that means nothing for us. That's pretty much like our Mondays, because you know, that's whenever you're usually holding open houses, Saturdays and Sundays, and you're going out showing clients homes. So really there's no actual Friday for realtors. You're going to be working 7 days a week, whether you like it or not. You can try to block out time, and I'm not saying that you can't every now and again take a day off during the week, but most likely you're still going to be in the transaction, talking to your clients. Like if the client texts you, or if a new client texts you or calls you, you're not going to want to ignore that. So that's why I say you're going to be working 7 days a week, 10 to 12-hour days, whenever you're first starting out, because that's just what you have to do to build your business. So you have to have a really good work ethic to be able to do that, and really be a self-motivator. So I know it can be hard going from military, like, you know, you have somebody that's telling you what you have to do each day, day in, day out. And so knowing that you're going to have to, you're going to be your own boss. You have to tell you what to do. So being a self-starter, I wasn't a self-starter when I first started out. I pretty much had to teach myself how to be a self-starter and knowing what I have to do. So the best way to do that is time blocking and creating your schedule. And so if I showed you what my schedule looked like, which I actually can, so maybe I'll show you like from a couple of weeks ago. Let me pause this share so I can go find it. But I'll give you an example of what my daily calendar looks like. Hold on. I have to stop share. Hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to find a good example. All right. So this is what my calendar looks like. And this is actually a week that I didn't have a whole lot going on. But I time block everything, and the white spaces, they say not to have any white spaces on your calendar, but how else are people going to schedule calls with me? Because I use a link called Calendly. It lets other people set time with you. Kind of like if you've ever done a SkillBridge call with me one-on-one, that's the link that you used. So it's a Calendly link. And so I highly recommend using this tool for setting appointments with clients and even, other agents or anything like that you're going to be doing, because then it allows people to automatically schedule versus having to be like, oh, does this time or this time work? And then by the time they get back to you, you didn't see it. So then that time's already passed. And so that doesn't really work, right? So if you use Calendly, it allows people to pop into these spaces if necessary. So I have, some personal stuff on there, like what time I'm going to sleep, waking up, breakfast, morning routine, whatever that is for you, whether it's working out, taking your kids to school, whatever it is, time block that as well. And then your time blocking, like lead follow-up, like I have social media posts, because that's also lead generation. 10 touches a day in my Facebook groups that I manage for people that are looking to rent and buy. And so I have everything built out on my calendar. I even have business building activities, which honestly, I don't usually do this because I'm usually attending trainings here and there. So I usually don't have that, but I have that just in case I need some ideas of what I can do. So basically anything and everything needs to go onto your calendar. Like, hey, at 3 p.m., I have to pick up my kids from school. So I have to time block that. So make sure you put that on your calendar. That's a legit thing. You have to make time for it. You got to pick your kids up from school. So whatever it is, like, if lead gen in the morning doesn't work for you, then you have to do it in the evening. Oops, I'm clicking away. And then time block it to be like color coded, like I do lead gen and anything that's money making in green, because hey, that's money making activities. So my personal stuff, it was supposed to be blue, but it looks like anytime somebody makes a call with me, it turns out blue on my calendar. So it doesn't really faze me, but and trainings and stuff, those are all different colors. So I'm color coding it so the way I know like the priority of things going through my calendar. If you don't want to color code and you're like, that doesn't make any sense to me, then just do whatever you want. But I don't know, my eyes like to see the pretty colors of different colors instead of just having a bunch of blue or a bunch of whatever on my calendar. So I have all of that set up. So just basically make sure you're doing it. So when you're starting out, they say 3 hours of lead gen. That can be whatever whatever you're doing to lead gen. Like I said, I count my social media posts in there because that's also lead gen. And then, I have my current client follow-up. So like if I'm in any transactions, I'm following up and making sure those are going on time. How do the inspections go? Do we have the loan approved yet? Like those are the times that I've blocked out on my schedule to be able to do those certain activities. And then of course, you're going to have random showings and stuff that's not on your calendar. That's fine. Most of us have a horrible time going by our calendar. But the whole purpose of this is so that way you're not like, well, I was supposed to do that. And then that's not on my calendar. And how do I do that? So make sure that you have a calendar whenever, especially when you're first starting out, because it's going to set you up for having those good daily habits that you need to start out with. And then I'm going to go back to my other screen. Does anybody have any questions before I continue on to that portion? No?
I was a Marine Corps recruiter for 4 years, 4.5 years. And a lot of that you just showed me is some of the very same things that was embedded in me as a recruiter. So I think the calendar thing won't be too hard, but it is tedious but necessary.
And I have, if you guys are interested to see how I set my schedule up, I do have a YouTube training on that. Okay, let me go back to my slide. And by the way, I'm presenting on Canva, which is a really cool tool. So I create a lot of my social media stuff off of there. I pay for the pro version because the free version wasn't cutting it for me. But just to get started, you could always download that and see how that works out. So, and if you like it, the paid plan, I don't think it's that much money, but when you're first starting out, it's like a lot, you know, just spending $10 a month could be a lot. So I would say just start out with free version and see how you like it. Anyways, so additional resources. So plugging into the Gwilt Group University, every single one of you should be in Gwilt Group University. If you're not in Gwilt Group University, and you're like, what in the world, how do I access that? Should be on your Asana. We are moving Asana training to Gwilt Group University, so the way everything is just in Gwilt Group University, and you don't have to go back and forth between those. If you're already on Asana and you're like, well, that's going to mess me up, we won't mess with yours. We'll just leave it where it is. But our ultimate goal, especially when interns moving forward, we're going to have everything in Gwilt Group University, just because it makes sense there. And we've had some recent issues with Asana, and so we needed to go into a different system. And we're like, why are we thinking of all these other systems when we already have Gwilt Group University? So we're having the people who manage that for us implement Asana into there. And so if you feel like that's going to make your life easier, then you know, that should be implemented. I don't want to put an actual deadline on it, but here in the next few weeks, it should be implemented in there fully. So that should make things a lot easier. So anyways, and then also plugging into our Facebook group, we put like extra tips. Like I just recently put like 12 tips on passing your real estate exam first time. And then I'll put other little tidbits in there. I haven't done that in the past, but this is something I'm going to be implementing going forward. Just give you extra little tips and tricks and info on real estate life and everything. So I'm going to be dropping like my YouTube videos and stuff in there, even though it will be in Gwilt Group University eventually. But you know, I find it also helps just to post it in the group too. And you will find our list of holidays that we observing on our Facebook group. So if you guys aren't already on there, just look up, actually I'm like, what is the name of it? Real estate internship. I don't remember the name of it. Hold on.
Like real estate internship unofficial.
Here we go. Did everybody see the Facebook group? Okay, so this is our group. So go ahead and join that because like I said, we have holidays and stuff that we are putting in there. For this holiday weekend, don't feel like you have to check in or check out. So starting tomorrow through Monday or like through Sunday, you don't have to check in or check out. You can if you want to. So if you want to check in or check out during the holiday weekend, you're more than welcome to. But starting Monday, then that would be when you would come back to check in.
Okay. I just didn't know that. I thought it was just for the day you don't check in. I didn't know it was the whole weekend. Obviously, I'm still gonna be doing real estate stuff, but I just figured it
Yeah,
was
we're
just
pretty much going by whatever the
Like
whatever the
does it for you.
military.
like a 96, like the, okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know.
So if you
Yeah.
guys are doing the whole weekend, like feel free, like you're gonna need time to take off anyway. So please go spend it with family, do whatever you're gonna do, and then just come back Monday. And then, let's see. We do have a Skill Bridge topics request. So if you guys need to request a topic, I will drop it in the Slack channel. And so you can request like, hey, I would like to learn more on this topic. And, I'll take that into consideration for the future calls. And then our next meeting will be as scheduled on 12/8. I believe that's the correct date.
We may end up having to accelerate that depending on when we leave.
Yeah, we may end up having to
We might go
push
to
that.
the 7th,
Yeah, please go to the next month.
Or it might go to the 15th.
It might go to it might bump to the 15th, but anytime there's any updates like that, I always post it in the Slack channel for you guys. So that way you know. And typically I like to post the Zoom link because I know it can be hard to figure out where that is. Like I said, you could also put it on your calendar and put the Zoom link in there so you can kind of start implementing calendar practices. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had for you guys today. We'll use the last 10 to 13 minutes that we have to answer any questions that anybody's having, either about the program or whatever it is that you need help with. So.
Tasha, I know there were some questions that were posted in the chat. I don't know if you were able to see those.
Oh no, here, let me go back. Thank you for that. Okay, so, oh yeah, if you want the PowerPoint, I can figure out how to share that with you. Hold on, let me see.
All right, so while she's pulling that up, I'll respond back to Jordan's comment. That's exactly right. So ideally, you can start working your sphere somewhat before you even get your license, right? Start telling people that you're getting your license. You're going to be a realtor soon. Start figuring out who has those move plans coming up in the next 3 to 6 months so that once you're licensed, you already have identified some of your sphere that you could possibly help. And then to Jordan's point, if you're in 3 to 6 months and under Tasha's schedule, it took us 8 months or so before she made her first paycheck. Again, we knew like no one here since we just gotten stationed here. Ideally, 3 to 6 of those months are your skill bridge time where you're getting paid by the DoD anyways. And so that way you only have a couple months, 1 to 2 months of unpaid before you start receiving commission checks from helping folks. So that's again part of why we put this program together, just because otherwise the transition out, especially if you're separating instead of retiring and you don't have retirement income, can be difficult for a lot of military folks because you're coming out and then you got to go from steady pay for your entire career to no pay for a while. And again, to Tasha's stat, somewhere between like 87 to 92% of realtors fail in the first 5 years. And so it's a very high failure rate industry. But most people that are coming into the industry don't have 3 to 6 months to start their business while they're still getting paid a salary from their previous company, which is really how the setup is with DoD Skill Bridge. So use that to your advantage, get it all set up. The other thing that we've told some of our interns, you're not allowed to get paid while you're in the program, right, for any closings. So if you get licensed, you're in the program, you still have some leave left over and you've got a closing coming up, see if you can graduate with us early and switch to terminal leave so that then you're not bound by the DoD Skill Bridge rules and you can actually start receiving that commission, right? Because the Skill Bridge program specifically prohibits us, our brokerage, anyone else from holding the money for you, holding your check, bonusing you after you get out, that type of thing. There's rules against that could cost us doing this program. So we definitely can't do that. However, we can strategize with you if you have leave days, helping you and accepting you graduating early so that you can use those terminal leave days instead and actually get paid for your work. What other questions do we have?
Charlene, what was the link? Sorry, I mentioned a few links. Which one was it?
I was talking about the calendar one.
For your, it's Calendly. So like calendar.
Oh yeah.
Calendly.com.
Yeah.
Tasha will type it in. There's a free version and then there's paid versions. So you can typically,
Thank you.
yeah, you can typically start out with the free version The paid version is going to be when you want a bunch of different event types, different durations, syncing with your calendar, or doing forms prior to taking. a
Yeah, I
call,
started
those
out
types
with
of
the
things.
free version and then I started having multiple different types of calls. So I was like, I gotta set this up so that way it can be different things.
And even if you do end up paying for it in the long run, I think it was like $120 for a year for the subscription. So it's pretty inexpensive.
Do we still have to, oh, well, I'm skipping. That was just a comment. Do we still have to meet a 40-hour requirement? There's, go
You want
ahead.
me to answer
Yeah,
it?
go
Yeah,
ahead.
so the DoD skill bridge requirements are pretty interesting. The DoD requirements are that you work up to, but not over 40 hours for your skill bridge employer. They don't state within the DoD
A
any
minimum,
minimums.
yeah.
So it's a really weird setup, but those are the rules that we go by. That's why we say 40-hour max, right? So do what you want to do as far as that goes. Again, we follow what the military holiday schedule is, federal holidays, military 4-day weekends, et cetera, especially with us still being a military active family. You're still military active until you transition out. So we just follow that schedule. So no, you don't have to do 40 hours. If you want to, go for it, but you don't have to. And then for folks that are like, I want to put in more than 40 hours, you're allowed to. We just can't force you to. Technically, your license, pre-license stuff that you're doing could be counted as skill bridge or not as skill bridge, since we're not the ones directly providing that training. So it's really up to you to dictate your own pace on that, which then sets you up for managing your own schedule and being a self-starter and getting all those.
I'm like, if
qualities
you
that
want to
need
work
in this
more than
business.
40 hours, then you're going to be set up for realtor life.
Yeah. What else do we have?
I was just going to point out that Jordan's recommendation on using the search bar
Yeah.
is great.
Yep.
You can just search for Zoom. Another thing is too, you can bookmark it and you can pin it. So make sure that you do that too, so that way you can save that.
I think if they pin, it pins it for the whole channel. So I would just.
Oh,
bookmark
well,
it.
I pinned it for the whole channel.
Correct.
So,
If someone else hits pin, I think it unpins it and then you gotta
Oh.
repin it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they can bookmark it.
okay. And then I put the Canva slides in there. They were pretty basic, but if you guys want them, there they are in the chat. Pointers you can give during open house. I would probably cover that on a future call. So that sounds more like a topic.
Yeah.
So I'm going to save that because that's something that I can do a whole training on. Alrighty, guys. Any other questions? Like, is anybody struggling right now with anything?
I was gonna ask, Jordan brought up using your GI Bill. If anyone knows this, is there any like further education you could get with real estate by using your GI Bill to get BAH? You know, people say you don't get a paycheck for like 3-4 months.
Right.
You know, certain schools or something you could attend to get that BH to just help you out a little bit. If anyone knows of anything.
I don't think they do. I'll let other folks talk to it, but I'm not sure if they do from a GI Bill perspective, since the pre-licensure stuff meets state requirements, but they're accredited university classes, which is typically what GI Bill requires, or paying for certs. But looks like we've got a couple of responses in the chat to look into.
Okay.
I know there's Graduate Realtor Institute, but even that I don't think is accredited, so I don't think that would apply.
Right, because I know the post 9/11 will give you BH, but I'm sure it's like community colleges, the universities, all that. So
Right. Now,
if Jordan gives me any information, I'll look into that more. Appreciate
yeah,
it.
and if you want to post it in the channel, you can find classes at some of the community colleges though, that'll get into like real estate in general, economics, real estate development, those types of things if you're interested, right? So you could start walking down that track a little bit and see if that helps and also gives you the allowance to get your BAH.
Okay. Thank
But
you.
you keep in mind when you use your GI Bill that your BAH is based off of your, I guess, what you're classified as a student. So full-time, part-time,
Right.
and
Yeah. I know
whatnot.
that.
So to utilize it and benefit from it the most, you would want to be a full-time student.
Right.
Which is then going to obviously interfere with your real estate. So
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, my recommendation is look at this as if you're in it for 3 months or 6 months, you've got a 3 to 6 month free window where someone else is still paying your salary. but you get to do real estate activities, which, you know, the rest of the civilian population does not get that benefit. So use it to sort of supercharge your real estate career so that when you come out of this internship, you've already got some deals ready, some buyers that want to work with you, right? And you're already starting down that path. The biggest thing that delayed us, I think, on that initial paycheck was just we didn't know how to generate leads at the time. We weren't spending money on lead generation. We were brand new to Los Angeles. Like Tasha said, she's, you know, introvert. So, okay, how do you meet people to go help them buy homes when you're brand new as a realtor?
Open houses.
You know, so open houses can help in some other opportunities, but we didn't have this where it was like, okay, someone's sending us a paycheck every month for 6 months while you're trying to figure it out.
Right.
I'll touch real quick. I just actually recently learned about the Vet Tech program. It is a program for veterans. If you have 1 day of GI Bill available, then you qualify for it, but it does not take away from your GI Bill benefits at all. So it doesn't remove any of your months of available GI Bill benefits, but it is just for technology. They do offer different BAH rates based on if you're going to an in-person class or if you are doing online. So I am planning to sign up and do some software development, a course in that, and collect the online BAH. I think it's like $812 or something. It's like the national average, rather than using my GI benefits right out the gate, just because we're in an increasingly technological era. So I feel like it is to anybody's benefit, even if you are going to be a full-time realtor for the rest of your life, it's to your credit to know something about technology and computers. So
Right.
I would recommend, I typed it into the chat, but I would definitely recommend checking that out if you are interested or if you can. So
Thanks.
Your cat's still on the show.
I have the worst animals in the world. I'm so sorry. I always am like walking around my house with my laptop, just like, where can I hide from them? And they still find me.
No, for some reason it's comforting to me to watch you pet your cat right there.
I don't even know how it's staying there.
So, right? A cat that likes to be pet? What happened? What kind of cat is that? It's a Larkin.
I'm a stay-at-home animal mom, I guess.
So with going to that vet tech, you're doing it multiple times a week. Is that going to interfere with your leads and everything going on with real estate?
No, I was able to find an online program that is actually offered from a college I'm in Sacramento, California. So I'm going to an online program that's out of San Francisco, but it's totally self-paced. So I'm typically working real estate from anywhere between like 8 in the morning to like 5-ish at night, talking to my leads and trying to start my business. So I'm dedicating time on the weekends, on my off days, to my program. And it's 8 weeks long. Oh, you want to get down? Okay, bye. It's 8 weeks long. So it hasn't been like an overload on my burden at all, but just collecting that additional, that $800 a month. That's, most of my utilities are taken care of from that. So that's really going to alleviate a lot of the burden of not being able to collect a paycheck for these first couple of deals.
Alrighty, guys. Well, it is 1 o'clock and I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Thank you guys for being on here, and I hope you all have a very wonderful Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. All right. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye. Aloha.